in for another edition of Bet. I'm Anita Marks, your host, coming to you live from LA. I'm actually heading to the game tonight. Derek Carr, the Raiders are in town here in Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Tyler Fulghum is going to join us from Las Vegas to dive into that and a lot more. Also, we've got Cimini and Alaina Getzenberg, both beat reporters for the Jets and the Bills, to do a deep dive, a look behind the curtain with that matchup coming our way on this week's slate. So let's bring in Tyler. Tyler, how you doing? I'm in LA, you're in Vegas. I'm actually going to be in Vegas tomorrow, so I get to see your handsome face. So welcome in. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. I have to, I guess, watch my Rams play football, and that has not been fun all season long. But, you're making the West Coast rounds here in LA for the game tonight. You'll be here in Vegas. That's awesome. Enjoy the game tonight at SoFi Stadium. I hope it's entertaining and filled with winning bets that you may be making on this show.
Yeah, I'm hearing that the stadium is going to be packed with Raiders fans. As we know, they travel quite well. But before we dive into that game, we always like to start with the good word. So let's start right there in the NBA. The Celtics to beat the Warriors in the NBA Finals. And you can get that at 18-1. Tyler, what's your good word?
Yeah, my good word is half, because I think only half of that equation is likely to come true. Now, I like the price at 18-1 for a rematch of what we saw a season ago, but I'm not sure the Warriors are going to be able to make it back in a Western Conference that has now seen the Pelicans come up and take control of that conference. The Suns were in first place before their loss. You have Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. You have maybe, now that Anthony Davis is playing like a beast, maybe the Lakers are a legit contender. And even on the Eastern Conference side, like, the Nets are starting to play good basketball. We know the Milwaukee Bucks are a very legitimate team. So I think you're only likely to get half one of these two teams returning to the NBA Finals. More than likely, it's the Celtics, but it could be the Warriors, with the Celtics getting bounced in a deeper, more talented Eastern Conference.
So my good word is, brace yourself, the greatest, or I should say greatest, possibly of all time. I mean, Tyler, let's really dive in and marinate just how amazing this Boston team is so far this season. And think about all the turmoil that they had to go through in the preseason, prior, obviously, from the season starting with their head coach and the potential trade of Jaylen Brown to the Nets for KD. How is Brown going to feel coming in? Man, they have 6 players, the Celtics do, that dude's shooting 40% from behind the arc. Brown is shooting 45% mid-range. We could sit here and we can have a conversation with Tatum possibly winning the MVP this season. So this Celtics team is unbelievable. I do expect them to make it to the finals. And I'm with you. Half of the equation here, you could bet that the Boston Celtics win the championship at 3-1. You could bet that they can win the East at plus 150. As for the Warriors, they're great at home, but they're god-awful on the road. And until that turns around, I just don't see the Warriors making it to the championship game. All right, here we go. Number 2, we've got the Vikings, and they are a +2 dog this week in Detroit, taking on the Detroit Lions. What's your good word?
Do you say data or data? Because that's my word, D-A-T-A. Do you pronounce it data or data, Anita?
I say it depends on my mood. I guess right now I'd say data.
Okay, your data on a Thursday. Yeah, I'll go with it. I'll go with data myself. And that's the reason why the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings are a 2-point underdog on the road against a 5-7 Detroit Lion team. It's the data, it's the analytics, it's the empirical numbers that we have that indicate that Detroit is probably better than their 5-7 record indicates, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now that DeAndre Swift is healthy, now that Amon-Ra St. Brown is healthy, DJ Shark, Jamison Williams, their first-round draft pick is there. They're probably better than 5-7, and the data or the evidence, the analytics show that Minnesota is not nearly as good as their 10-2 record would indicate. As we have pointed out, they have the worst point differential of any of the 53 teams we've seen in history that are 10-2. Their defense is not that good, and that's not a good thing to bring to the table to the fast track of Ford Field against Jared Goff and a fully healthy Detroit Lion offense that has proven capable of putting 40 points on the board like we saw last week at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's the numbers, it's the data. The record is the numbers you need to ignore. those can be misleading, as we know, Anita. If you look at all of the data of the offense, the defense, the special teams, that's why the Lions are a 2-point favorite. They're about an even team with the Lions, though with this game at Ford Field, they get that home field bump and are a 2-point favorite.
Obviously, data is your word of the day. My word is motor, as in Motor City, baby. I love Detroit this week for all the reasons you just pointed out. Offensively, they're getting healthy, as you said, St. Brown, and of course, Swift back in action. I love that 1-2 punch in the backfield with Swift. Yeah. And Jamal Williams, who has the more rushing touchdowns than any running back in the NFL this season, which is tremendous, considering he has to share the backfield with Swift. And Goff has a beautiful matchup. I know we talked about it on Daily Wager. Minnesota Vikings giving up the most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks this season. So again, Tyler and I, we love fantasy. If Goff is available on your waiver wire, pick him up and play him this week. In fact, I'm playing him over Murray in one of my fantasy leagues. I think he has a big game. So I love Detroit. I'll lay the points with Detroit. Of course, we've got a big game tonight. The Raiders going up against your Rams. The Raiders win both halves. And you could get this at -150. Might be a little bit too much juice for some folks, but who knows? What's your good word?
My good word is overtime for this game. Yeah, that's right. I'm saying we could see overtime, which means that the Vegas Raiders do not win both halves. I don't necessarily love that bet. So I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Rams. We can talk about that in a little bit. I know all three of Baker Mayfield, Bryce Perkins, and John Wolford are active. Don't know how attractive they are in this matchup, Anita, especially Baker only having been there for 2 days trying to absorb the playbook. But I'm going to say overtime because I wonder if we get a letdown from the Raiders in this spot and maybe some bonus football tonight on TNF.
My good word is Viva, baby. Viva Las Vegas. I love the Raiders tonight. I'm wearing the Derek Carr shirt. You know, again, similar reasons as to why I like the Detroit Lions. This is a Raiders team. Their offense has been absolutely crushing it, scoring on 45% of their drives, third best in the NFL behind Kansas City and Cincinnati. They're averaging 6.5 yards per play, second best behind Kansas City. And Derek Carr tossing multiple touchdown passes in 5 straight games. So this offense is not playing around. And I do believe that they're going to get at it tonight, especially with Devontae Adams. With that being said, let's dive into this matchup. As we know, we've got a Raiders team. They're favored by 6.5. The over-unders at 42. How are you playing this matchup, Tyler?
Yeah, I am reluctantly going to lean towards taking the points with the Rams, and it's more of a bet against the Raiders. I don't know if I love this spot, Anita. They have won 3 games in a row, but 2 of those games required overtime, extra snaps that eventually catches up with you over the course of a season, taking those extra hits for a guy like Josh Jacobs, who's been injured now the last few weeks, has been balling, but maybe he has his worst game we've seen in a while because of the extra snaps and extra plays against a playoff team, or a team they're competing with last week in the Los Angeles Chargers. They then travel on short rest to take on the lowly Rams, who have waved the white flag on this season. And then next week they have the Patriots, the other team in front of them in the AFC wildcard picture. So I wonder if it's a spot where they're sandwiched between 2 teams that they're giving more attention to as far as trying to win that game, where I think can sleepwalk against the Rams here. So I want John Wolford to play quarterback. I think he's got the best chance to cover. It's not a great spot for Baker just because he hasn't been there long enough, and I think Wolford's better than Bryce Perkins. But I will lean towards the Rams, and I do think it's an under game. I've seen 41.5 at other shops in the market, so it is moving down. If the Rams want to win this game, boy, they're going to have to win it with defense and a timely score here or there. We saw them kind of get into a little bit of a shootout with the Seattle Seahawks. I think this game back at home, they can keep in that 21-17 range, that 24-14 type of range maybe, and keep this game under the total. Thursday Night Football trend, I'm going to play under here with these 2 teams.
Well, I'm going to lay the points with the Raiders. Also, I like the team total over 24.5 points for the Raiders as well. Again, I've been out here in LA for a week, And all I'm hearing about this Rams team, your Rams team, is they're done. And so really what Sean McVay wants to do is he wants to see what's on this roster as they get ready for the postseason and the offseason, I should say, and what they're going to do in free agency, what they're going to do in the draft. On top of that, and I just listed all the reasons why I like the Raiders offensively, but in special teams, get this, 50% of their punts, the Raiders, they're pinning teams back on the 20-yard line, if not deeper. So special teams plays a role. Also, the Raiders, their playoff hopes are alive. And I'm telling you, if you tune into this game tonight, you're going to see a sea of black. Why Raiders fans travel extremely well, and that stadium is going to be a neutral site for this Raiders team because Rams fans, I know so many Rams fans I've spoken to this week, and they're like, I'm not going, I gave my tickets away. So there's not going to be a lot of Rams fans at the stadium, Tyler. You might want to jump on a flight and get here to support your team. With that being said, let's dive into some of the prop bets that are out there. What are you playing tonight?
Yeah, there's two props I want to play, one on each side. I'll start with my Rams. Kieran Williams, the rookie running back out of Notre Dame. He's the receiving back for Sean McVay in this offense. If the Raiders are winning like you suggest, Anita, and the Rams are playing from behind, they got to throw the rock. Williams will see some more snaps, and we'll see the opportunities to go over 14.5 receiving yards. That's just 2 or 3 catches. So I do like that, even though Cam Akers is the guy who kind of dominated the touches in a neutral to positive game script against Seattle last week. On the Raiders side, I'm sure you're interested in this. Davante Adams over 6.5 receptions. That's pretty juicy, minus 160, but I mean, come on. Davante sees 12, 14, 17 targets a game. The Rams play a brand of defense that's very soft, very zone heavy, and that's exactly what Davante Adams likes to eat for breakfast. So I think we see at least 7 catches here from Davante Adams.
Yeah, so buckle up, brace yourself. You know what happens when I start talking about prop bets. There's a plethora of them. So let's start with the Raiders. I'm wearing the shirt for a reason. Derek Carr, over touchdown passes, over passing yards. Again, multi-touchdown games his last 5. And as you pointed out, the Rams, 85% of the time they play zone coverage, and Carr has 13 touchdown passes against zone coverage. Who's his guy? It's going to be Davante Adams. No Waller, no Renfro, even though they came off of IR. They're not going to be active and attractive tonight. And like I said, 44% target share for Davante Adams, just 6. Josh Jacobs, I'm going under here. Why? Well, he's dealing with a calf. It's a short work week, and the Rams are actually quite good against the run. They're only allowing actually less than 4 yards per carry. Moreau, anytime touchdown, he's running routes 82% of the dropbacks, and the Rams are not good against opposing tight ends. They've given up 5 touchdowns to opposing tight ends the last 6 games. Also, the special teams little nugget I just shared with you in regard to how great their punting is, I'm going to go a safety, anytime safety, and you can get that at 9-1. I just love those odds. I can just see this Raiders team pinning the Rams back, their offense, quarterback not really been able to do anything, and Max Crosby coming in and getting the safety, possibly at 9-1. I'm going to play it. And last but not least, Cam Akers, give me over rushing yards for him. He played 72% of the snaps last week, had 17 carries. I know each week you're like, is it Akers? Is it Williams? Right. Who's going to be back there? I just think it's going to be Akers. And also we've seen Sean McVay, even when he's getting blown out, he's still committed to the run. So just a few prop bets I'm going to dive into. Let's move to the hardwood. We've got a few games tonight, 2 to be exact. We've got the Rockets going up against the Spurs. The Rockets are favored by 2. The over-under is at 229. Do you have a play in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to go over the total of 229. It's almost suspiciously low for me. I thought this would be in the 230s, low to mid 230s. The Spurs play a fast brand of basketball and don't play much defense. Same can be said for the Rockets. They got a lot of talented young players, but they're offensively gifted players who like to get up and down the floor, flash their athleticism. So I'm almost concerned that I'm being suckered by the 229. I do think this is a game that will be played into the 230s, and the close spread, Rockets favored by 2 points, Anita, also gives you maybe a slightly higher probability of an overtime game. This could be, down to 1 possession at the end of regulation. Could see an extra bonus 5 or 10 minutes by going to OT or double OT. So I'm a little concerned that I thought it'd be in the 230s, but I'm going to go over 229 here. It was my best bet on Daily Wager.
Oh, wow. I like the Rockets here, and I'll lay the 2. But we're talking about 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. I think the Spurs are just absolutely hopeless. losing 10 straight, many of them at home. Let's be honest, they're focusing on the draft lottery. Who wouldn't be, right, with the talent that's coming out this year? Defensively, they're allowing 121 points per game. Teams are shooting 50%, if not better, which plays right into your over. And in Houston, keep in mind, they're 2-1 their last 3 games, but they've had tough sledding as of late. They had a really difficult matchup. Now their schedule gets a little bit easier. So I think the play here is the Rockets, and I'll lay the 2. The other game is the Nuggets going up against the Blazers. The Blazers favored by 1, and the over-under is 227.5. Do you have a play in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to attack the total this time, though. I'm going under with these 2 teams. Denver is especially a team that likes to play slow. The same can be said for Portland. Despite some of the good guards that they have, they are not a team that likes to get up and down the floor like the LA Lakers. So I like the under in this one, 227. I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. But again, what I said about the other matchup I was talking about, the tight spread, just 1 point, that increases the probability of overtime. So hopefully this game doesn't go to overtime, because that's obviously not what you want to see when you're betting an under, although that is my official play, under 227.5.
By the way, a correction, the Nuggets are favored by 1, not the Blazers. Okay. And again, 227.5. I have a small lean towards the Nuggets here. I know Trailblazers happy to get Lillard back. I get all that. But I think this is a Nuggets team. I think they're starting to realize this offense needs to go through Jokic. And so I have a feeling like they're going to get back to that form of offense tonight against the Trailblazers. That's what I'm banking on. Just a small lean on the Nuggets. Nothing too big. I feel like the Rockets play is the better play tonight for me in the NBA. Let's talk about the World Cup. You know I am all in. I've been so excited. I'm sad that the United States is still not active and attractive, as I like to say, but nonetheless, we still have some really great matches ahead. So tomorrow, tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. It's been a crazy week out here in LA. I'm sure you can only imagine, Tyler. So tomorrow we've got Croatia going up against Brazil. So this is where the lines are at right now. Croatia to win is 7-1. Brazil to win is -275. No surprise there. A draw is +390. Do you have a play in this match?
Yeah, I mean, at this point with the Americans out, I might as well shoot for the moon. So I see 7-1 on Croatia. I know Brazil, the Samba boys, as you like to say, are the favorite to win the World Cup for good reason. They are loaded with talent, but why not take a flyer on a Croatian team that's got a lot of talent, like Modric, who's one of the premier players in the world? Why not at 7-1? Pull for some fun and a little bit of a Cinderella story upset here. So let's go Croatia at 7-1.
Wow. I don't even know I'm sitting here shocked. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I do call them the Samba boys. That's the dance of choice. Tutu bom, tutu bang, beiju, ciao, bella. Yeah, it's all about Brazil, okay? They are actually, I call them Samba boys, but they're men playing against the boys. They destroyed South Korea, 4 goals in 45 minutes. They are furious. They are unstoppable. They are just, they started playing soccer in the womb, Tyler. You can't compete. You can't contend with them. So my play is Brazil -1.5, and you can get that at +105. That's my play. Game number 2, you got the Netherlands, who unfortunately beat the United States, going up against Argentina. Netherlands to win is +245. Argentina to win is +125, and a draw is +205. What's your play here?
Yet again, I'm on the dog. Give me that candy. I'll take the Netherlands +245. They knocked out the Americans, so wouldn't it reflect well on the red, white, and blue if the Netherlands advance deeper and deeper into the tournament? I'm not giving true statistical, analytical handicapping here. I'm handicapping with my heart now at the World Cup. Okay, that's why I had Croatia at 7-1, and that's why I'm taking Netherlands at +245. I want the dogs tomorrow. I want to see some upsets, and selfishly as an American fan, if the Netherlands go deeper into this tournament, that reflects better on our boys wearing the red, white, and blue. Plus, Dallin was saying on Daily Wager when I was talking with the both of you earlier today that Argentina just hasn't been that impressive so far in this World Cup, so they might be right for the picking for an upset. Give me the Dutch +245.
I like it. And my favorite color is orange. So I do like the Netherlands. I have a small lean on the Netherlands, but really my play here is over 2.5 goals. Listen, Messi is going to be good for at least one of them. Okay, Gakpo is going to be good for at least one of them. Both of them have been absolute studs for both their countries so far in this tournament. Gakpo being probably one of the best young, exploding European players. Keep in mind, we're going to know that name and we're going to see him. He's going to be terrific. Not just, of course, what we've seen in this tournament, but also in the next 4 years, which, by the way, will be hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So really excited about that. But also, 7 of the last 12 matches that the Netherlands have played in, they have scored 3, if not more, goals. And Argentina as well tends to lean towards the over. So my play here is the over at 2.5 goals. With that being said, Tyler, I do believe that Brazil is the class above everyone else. I had Spain prior, if you recall, in our futures discussion prior to the tournament starting. I had Spain, thinking Spain was like really the only team that could possibly upset Brazil, but they got bumped by Morocco. Now, of course, it possibly could be England, it could be France, who knows? Do you have a team out there that you're eyeing that you think can take Brazil down?
Yeah, obviously I think Croatia, or I'm hoping Croatia would, based on the fun little beer money bet that I'm making for tomorrow. But I do agree that a couple of the most significant competitors or contemporaries to Brazil have left this tournament early, Germany being another one, not just Spain. So when you look across Europe for those countries that usually dominate, Germany's already out, Spain is already out, France has the second shortest odds behind Brazil, and they're on the other side of the bracket, so those two teams could eventually meet in the World Cup final, and France is obviously a legit squad. If it's not Brazil that wins this World Cup, France is probably the most likely option outside of Brazil, but I want to see something crazy. You know, I know Brazil likely will win, but I want to see something crazy, see a longer shot country make a fun run here in the World Cup.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at France now that Spain has been eliminated. For me, I think it's Mbappe, and he's just been tremendous so far. 5 goals, 3 assists in this tournament. I think if there's one, I think that there's that very well could be the team that could potentially upset Brazil if anybody can. Tyler, thank you so much. Enjoy the game tonight. I'll be thinking about you while I'm at SoFi Stadium, and hopefully we have helped the people win some money this evening, and of course throughout the weekend coming up.
All right, have fun at the game, Anita.
You got it. We say goodbye to Tyler. We bring in Rich Cimini, who does a phenomenal job covering the Jets as always. And look at this. He's joining us from the Jets facility. I love it. Rich, let's dive right into it. Now, we know the Jets, they beat the Bills in Week 9. And the Bills were favored by 11 points. Now, no Zach Wilson, Mike White starting. That line now is 10. How does Mike White, now at quarterback, present a different offense for this Jets team than they had in Week 9?
Well, Anita, it's a different dynamic on offense, completely different. Of course, you don't have the mobility that you did with Zach Wilson, that you do with Mike White, but Mike White sees the field really well. He has the ability to process very quickly, and that allows him to get a lot of different players involved on offense. Elijah Moore, who was a non-factor in the last game against Buffalo, he had 0 catches, has become a bigger part of the offense under Mike White. Also, a change in the backfield. Bam Knight, the rookie, is now playing a significant role in the backfield. He was on the practice squad the last time they played the Bills, so you have more speed in the backfield with Bam Knight.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. Now, Mike White, he passed the ball 57 times last week against the Vikings. Unfortunately, they did lose. Is that the number that the Jets are comfortable with, him tossing the ball that much? Are they looking to keep him under 50 pass attempts a game? What can we expect from Mike?
Oh yeah, they don't want to go in the 50s again. That they were behind a lot in that game. They were behind by 14 at halftime, and they did a lot of catching up in the second half. That's not the ideal number. Ideally, they'd like to be in the 30s because Mike LaFleur, their offensive coordinator, really wants to run a balanced offense. And they did run the ball very well against the Bills in the last meeting. They had 174 yards rushing. They would like to duplicate that to take some pressure off Mike White in his third start.
All right, let's look big picture here, Rich, right? The Jets, they're in the 7th spot right now for the playoffs, even after they lost. They go from the Bills to the Lions, Jags at home, and then at Seattle, and they finish against Miami and face off, of course, against those mammals, the Dolphins. So what does their win-loss need to be for the final 5 games in order for this Jets team to make it to the postseason?
Anita, I think the magic number is 10. They're going to have to find 3 more wins out of these last 5 games to secure a wild card spot. Now, they could possibly do it with 9, but right behind them, you have New England and LA with 6 wins apiece. The Jets do not want to get in tiebreaker situations with either one of those teams. The Jets would lose a tiebreaker against New England because they lost the head-to-head. They got swept this year. And if it goes to a conference tiebreaker against LA, that's a little dicey for the Jets because both the Chargers and the Jets have 4 conference losses right now. So the safest way for the Jets to end their 11-year playoff drought is to win 3 out of 5.
Rich, thank you so much for spending some time with us on Bet. Great preview of the game. Really do appreciate it. Should be a good one.
You bet, Anita.
You got it. Just a quick note here, and that is weather conditions are supposed to be quite dicey in Buffalo this coming Sunday. 30 degrees, snow is expected, winds gust up to 10 to 15 miles per hour. So I do like the under in that play this coming week. As always, we like to end the show with Before I Let You Go. And not just giving you the Bills-Jets play, I'm going to give you my favorite play heading into Sunday, and that is the Bengals. I'll lay the 5.5 against the Browns. Why? This Bengals team offensively with Joe Burrow, they have been absolutely tremendous since Week 8. They're scoring on over 50% of their offensive possessions. Excited to hopefully get Joe Mixon back. Not that Samaje Perine has held down the fort admirably, but man, nothing compares to Joe Mixon, that's for sure. Meanwhile, for the Cleveland Browns, we saw Deshaun Watson get back in action, but we saw how rusty he was, right? Like, what would you expect? He hasn't played in 2 years. You don't play football for 700 days. Expect rust. But it was pretty bad. 54% completion percentage, only 6 yards per attempt when trying to pass the ball, and only went 3 of 9 for 37 yards when pressured. So I think it's going to take a minute. And trust me, he is going to get pressured against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that until we see Deshaun Watson really kind of get into the groove of things. Also, the officiating. Jerome Boger is going to be overseeing this game. Cleveland averages 7 penalties per game, and Boger calls a lot of roughing the passer penalties in his games that he officiates. And guess what? Cleveland roughing the passer penalties quite frequently when they are on the road. So the officiating does not bode well for Cleveland. So I love the Bengals minus 5.5. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Bet. We so appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. We've got you ready for the game tonight, some other NFL plays, some NBA as well. So good luck with your bets. We'll see you next week on Bet.